Okay, so here's our dashboard. As mentioned before, you've got your 12-volt plug there. I already have the piece for this to put a GPS mount on, but I don't have I run RAM mounts like on the 950. I don't have any of the extra bits and pieces to use with that yet, and it doesn't seem very important. Please ignore the table, which is not actually a table, it's a door. I don't know what I'm talking about. My house was flooded at the beginning of December, so we're just still working on repairs and things, and part of that is fixing all the doors. So anyway, the bike, so the pad gets in the way a little bit, so you just got to kind of roll it back to get to the key, but this is what the dashboard does. They've used a slightly different font, not that you can actually tell because my camera is a bit dirty. That's marginally better. They've used a different font than they did with the 390 Duke. I'll rest this on the pad, it'd be easier. There we go. On the 390 Duke, they've used a slightly different font, so it's actually so much easier to see. I actually have never seen this on dark mode because I've only had it out and about when I've been writing about it on nice mode. But notice the over the Duke, there's some differences here. It actually tells you the ABS settings. It does it on the Duke. And your motorcycle traction control, which I haven't had a huge play with, other than around on some gravel, but it does seem to work reasonably well. As in, I turned it off and had to play on some gravel, so it is noticeable. Focus. And Bluetooth, obviously, it has a little icon there. The clock, what time is it? No, the clock's actually still accurate after 4 days, so that's a difference on the 390 Duke as well, because that was chronically bad for going forward in time. Obviously, also we have our traction control light here, which we don't on the 390. Let's have a look through some of these things then. So go to the My Ride. So you've got audio and navigation on this one. I haven't played with the navigation yet because I knew where I was going the other day. Being a local road, pairings, phone, headset, that sort of stuff. I have to confess, with the 390, I didn't really look at it much because I ran my phone music through the headset in my helmet, and I didn't need it. And I listened to Spotify, and it didn't do Spotify when I first got it, so I never really played with it again. No idea if it still does. Maybe it does. Maybe I should have a play with that. Who knows? Cool. And then you've got your trip meters. So general info, which tells you what the date is, your odometer and your battery. Trip 1 tells you everything that a trip meter does. So it tells me that I've done 105 kilometers. I've been averaging 3.6 liters per 100 Ks, which is impressive considering I haven't been holding back. I've been trying to run through the rev range and run through throttle just for sort of running in. So we'll see if that changes. The average speed, which is chronically low because, town. Total trip time and the fuel range. As per the 390 Duke, you can select and customize your screen so you can show any of this information on the front that you want. Fuel range of 400 Ks is interesting. I'm going to be keen to see how far that goes. I actually filled it up the other day and I reset the second trip meter. So I've done 7.1 Ks at 4 liters per 100 Ks at 70 Ks an hour. And it's got 400. It said 440 when I first filled it up. So we'll see how optimistic it is. What I'll probably do what I did on the last bike, unless I go touring on this thing, where I left the trip 1 as an overall of how long I've had the bike, and the trip 2 as what I'm using there and then, and warnings, which it's obviously just gone straight past because there are no ones. If I stick the stand down, we can see there's a side stand warning. Pop that back up. Battery's holding voltage well, which is nice. Cool, and then the fun things. So there's the motorcycle traction control, which tells me keep pressed and closed throttle twist grip. And then release, and it switches it off, and you'll notice it's changed to off down here as well. And then switch back on is just pressing the button, I think. Holding the button down. Yeah, holding the button down for a second or two. I have been told that, and this has been clarified by a friend of mine in India who's played with this. I haven't. Friend of mine, he's a guy on a forum. So, if you turn the traction control off while the bike is off, when you hit the starter, if you stall, or if you hit the kill switch, it will turn the traction control back on. If you do it when it's on rather, when the bike is running, it will keep it setting until you cycle the key or turn it back on yourself. So, good thing to note in case you're the sort of person who doesn't want it coming back on randomly. And then the ABS, as I mentioned, there's a road and an off-road mode. And yeah, you literally can cycle between the two many times as you want. There's none of this closed throttle or cycle key or anything like that, which is quite good because on the Duke, sometimes I like having the ABS on there as a safety net, but sometimes I wanted to do a stoppie. And you couldn't just decide, oh, I want to do a stoppie, do your stoppie, and then carry on and put your ABS back on. If this is as good, which I think it's supposed to be better than the Duke, the ABS system anyway, it will not let you lift the rear wheel under braking. Although I did manage to lock the rear wheel by stamping on it with the ABS on a gravel car park the other day. So it's not... You're going to get a little bit of slip, but it does pick it up quite well. Okay, and then into the other settings. So there's the favorites, which is how you pick what you want to show on the dashboard. Quick selector. You know, I don't actually know what that does. I'm guessing that's on favorites or a selector type thing. The manual will tell me, I just haven't bothered looking at it yet. Bluetooth on and off, I'm actually going to turn it off because I don't use it. Display theme, you can lock it to night mode, and you can have it so it changes the contrast, so all the letters go black and the screen goes white. This one also has, which I don't believe the Duke has, it has brightness levels for them as well. So while it'll switch over to night and to day, it'll adjust the brightness constantly as well, and it seems to work quite well. Oh, by the way, all of this stuff that I'm saying that the Duke doesn't have, I assume it will do once they've done another update to it. Likewise, the suspension. The suspension is a light years ahead of the Duke, but I expect the Duke to catch up with its next iteration. I can't see why they wouldn't. Shift light I'm not allowed to play with until I've done the run-in, as you can see there. Clock, date, time, all the adjusty type stuff there. Units, you can change it so it reads in kilometers or old school, and you can change the fuel conservation through a different... Man, there's a lot in there. That's amazing. Cool. Different languages. English UK, English US. There's no New Zealand in there. Tells me when the next service is due. Again, same as the Duke. Extra functions, traction control and combined ABS system. That won't let me actually go into it, so I'm not entirely sure what it's there for. But yeah, so that is the dashboard of the 390 Adventure.